on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. I am Mike, aka Living with 3M Auto Vlogging, and today what we've got in store for you is I'm going to change the spark plugs on a 99 to 04 Mustang GT, the V8. So if any of you guys need some tips, follow along. Let's get this done. You can start on any side you choose, front or back. Just remember which one you replaced. Go that way. I'm going to go ahead and take the air intake, these tubes off, the vacuum tubes, these little sensors, the mass airflow, and this little bolt right here, so we can get the air intake track out of the way so we can get down on this side. This is an 8mm right here. You can use a open end, boxed in wrench or ratchet. So now we're just going to push down right here. Remove that. Remove that. All right. Now we'll get this hose clamp right here. That can be a flathead screwdriver, or since you already got the 8mm socket out, and you don't want to take this band clamp all the way out of the ring. Just loosen it really good, and throw my ratchet back in the bag, and you just wiggle it like this, pull it off. Some of the tubes will go ahead and come off. They're pretty easy to remove. There we go, just like that. All right, so what we're gonna do is pull up on this. It's sitting down in two little seats, this part right here. So you're gonna think it won't move, but it will. And how's that happen? How do you bleed and you've not even done spark plug 1 yet? My goodness. So you just wiggle it back and forth and remove it just like that. A little snorkel will come out of the fender, and we set this to the side. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom in here and show you exactly where your spark plugs are, and you can see it by the coil on plug right here. They've all got the little plugs to them. It says Motorcraft in yellow on top. So there is the first one. Let me see if I can move that out of the way. See, it's underneath the fuel rail, but we take that little bolt loose that holds the boot on there for the coil on plug. So we remove 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so here's what we're gonna change. Got the spark plugs right here. Now they are pre-gapped from Ford Motorcraft, but we're gonna check that gap. Always check your gap just to be on the safe side. And we're gonna change these boots, since the boots are right down there. So when we pull that out, we can just replace the boots. Since it is an older car, I'm gonna replace those boots. And here's some stuff you may need. Dielectric grease and the anti-seize for the plug threads, just so they don't seize up for the next time you need to change the plugs. And I set the box that most of my stuff came in, set it right there. That way, if you need to throw the old boots in, kind of helps. You got a little spot there. Some people will tell you it's easier to remove the fuel rail, and you can do that, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to use a 7mm socket with extension, 1/4-inch drive, and get to the bolt right there that holds the coil on plug, and we're going to remove that. if you guys are changing out the actual coil, there is the part number. I'll put links down in the description where you can pick up yours. Also, I'll put links for the spark plugs, the grease, everything where you can pick your stuff up. Let's see. Let's get it right there. All right, so like I said, they're gonna be a little tight. All right, so got that spark plug out. Even though it says pre-gapped on here, if you've got one of these, it's really neat to have. And you check the pre-gap. I'm at a 0.055 or 54. Yeah. So somewhere in there ought to be good enough. So you really shouldn't have to re-gap these, but you just never know in case somebody drops one or something like that, delivering it to you. So it's always good to have one of these gauges. Just check that. All right, we'll go ahead and put this spark plug in. Just a dab of the anti-seize on there. Then we'll take our finger. You want to try not to get that up on the electrode. Just get that right like that. So now we got the grease on there. Just carefully. First one's always the easiest though, near the front of the engine. All right, and when tightening this, you don't want to over tighten it because these are aluminum heads and you can really do some damage. So you just want to give it a good snug, and that's it. David is changing the other side, or he's starting to break those down, so it makes things go a little faster if you have an extra set of hands. So with this one, I did change the boot. You just pull the old one off and you pull the spring out, put the new spring in, push this in. It's just plug and play. It's just pushing it in. And now we're gonna put this down in there the way it came out. You just wanna get this line back up, put your 7mm bolt back in. We'll get it tightened down. And then we plug our electrical connection back up, and this first one will be done. So now he's working on the other side. He's got all these loose right now. Now we're gonna pull that out, change the boot and the spring. Put that loose. Gonna remove the old spark plug. Just like that. Ready to put our spark plug back in there that I've already checked the gap. Just like that. All right, so I'm gonna show this real quick. I've already got my grease up in the end of it. But when you put these boots on, you want to have the arrow lined up with that arrow. David and I just realized that. Our first one we did was a little backwards, and you really wouldn't know unless you see that arrow on the rubber boot line up with the arrow on the coil pack. So it fits just like that. All right, so now we've got our grease on there. Put that down in there. Just like that. Put your electrical connection back on. Now I'll get the bolt and tighten that down. Okay, we've got the coil off of the plug right here, second one back on the driver's side. Now we're going to remove this spark plug. Right there. We're going to put the coil pack back in, just the same way. Plug our electrical connection up. You'll hear it click. Put our single 7mm bolt in. Okay, so you guys will notice we're jumping back and forth. But that's how it is usually when you got two guys. He's doing one thing and I'm doing another. But if you're working by yourself, you probably want to stay focused on each individual one. But we know pretty much where we're at and what we're doing. So I'm going to remove this spark plug, just like that. All right, so we're going to fresh plug going in with anti-seize on it. So another benefit of having two people, David has already went and removed the coil packs, assembled the new boots, put dielectric grease inside them, put them here in our little box. So when I change the spark plug, I'm coming behind him to just put this in, go with it like that. Pretty much streamlines everything. All right, moving back to the third on this side. And we may need a wobble socket on this one. Let me grab one real quick.
Yeah, I know when I was watching the one guy, he said that he normally tries to do the passenger side first.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, it's harder, and that way you kind of get that out the way.
Yeah. Get the passenger side out of the way.
Yeah, and that way, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes after you get that done, then you kind of like, ooh, this other side's gonna be a lot easier to get
Yeah,
to.
because you could tell that driver's side's a lot easier.
Yeah.
So, okay, guys. No, I got it.
Oh.
I got it. I'll show them. I've already been videoing while me and you both are talking.
Okay.
But I got everything, and you notice I got the wobble socket on it. It makes life a little bit easier on that third one back on the passenger side. So wobble socket is your friend. All right, so got that plug out. Use the wobble socket. Gonna put the fresh plug in with anti-seize. Y'all got that? Yeah. Use anti-seize. David's over there laughing at it.
Well, I called it antifreeze. So.
Antifreeze or the anti-seize. Yeah, so we're gonna carefully navigate this plug with the wobble socket back down in here. And I know some guys in the comments are probably gonna be like, you really need some stuff covering your fenders so you don't scratch your paint. Yeah, definitely if you've got something to throw over them, that's always good to have, but we really didn't, and it's not that big an issue. But just be careful with your wrenches and stuff around fenders and paint. You don't want to damage anything. So, put this spark plug back in here. We'll be finished up with the third one on this side. We'll just have one more on this side. All right, perfect. All right, grab one of these freshly booted coil packs that David has got me ready. So we're gonna go ahead and put that down in here. It's kind of tricky on this third one right here because the fuel line to the fuel rail is a little bit in the way. All right, I'm gonna take the wobble socket off of that one. We're gonna try and get this one, the back one, without it. Looks like it's a straight shot, which it is. Yep, pretty easy. So on the passenger side, you'll need a wobble socket only for this one under the fuel rail. But every other one will come straight out. Got my fourth one on this side with anti-seize on it, new plug going in. And we're gonna go over that loop in the tube right there you see to the back. That's the way the port is designed. So I've got two extensions on there. You may have one extension that works just fine. Putting that in, and that will complete the infamous passenger side that everybody's so worried about doing. And I've even had somebody even told David that you may want to take the fuel rail loose, but I'm like, nah, it wasn't quite that hard that I felt we needed to do that. So for you guys, if you want to take the fuel rail loose, knock yourself out, but you saw right there, we didn't have to do it. You just have to finagle the coil pack right there. I guess, I'm not sure what cylinder it is, but the third one back, or actually the second one from the cowl, is under the fuel rail tube, the supply tube. So that was the worst thing, and it didn't take but extra couple minutes. All right, so David's gonna be tightening up the coil boots on that side for the last two, and we've got two more on this side. There we go. All right. All right, so I was struggling with this, guys, and I'm gonna use this wobble socket right here. Again, it's on the third one back from the front, or the second one from the cowl. Yeah, it's a lot easier to use a wobble socket. And for the main reason on this side is this big connector that goes again to the fuel rail. So I can see where some people would say remove the fuel rail. But there again, we are not choosing to do that because we have the wobble sockets. Now I'm gonna remove the last one back here, and it looks pretty easy. It's straight down. Right there it is. And David's still working on the coil packs, the little bolts. They can be tedious, little 7mm bolts. And for some reason, guys, I did not have a 1/4 inch extension for those 7mm bolts. So he's having to take a small wrench. And that's what's taking a little bit longer. But yeah, be prepared with the correct tools. So we're gonna put the fresh boot and coil pack with the dielectric grease on there. Straight down on it. Plugs in, just like that. Now we put these little tedious bolts in. That's what David's still working on that back one, because they're just a little hard to get your fingers on. So we just actually had to have a small magnet. I'll show you guys right here. The magnet, it helps steady things, and if you drop something also, little magnet's a good tool to have. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the back one on, and we will be finished with this side. David's finishing up his side, so we're just about ready to call this job complete.
You know, some of these, like that guy was saying, you know, you mess with a car that's older, you want to be careful because you got a lot of fragile, especially like all these little tubes and stuff.
Yeah, vacuum tubes and plastic. Yeah.
He said, you know, just be careful. It's just like I was looking, I don't know what you call this part, but it needs to be, you can tell it's all dry rotted.
Just rubber PCV tube, or yeah, I can see that dry rotted.
I was looking in there the other day and I was like, oh man, that thing is bad looking.
Yeah. We'll tell everybody, all right, I got everything tightened up over here. David's got everything tightened up over there with the 7mm coil pack bolts. Now we're just gonna put our tube back down in there, and it's got 2 little feet or pegs it sits on, and that's it. Yeah, once it just sits right down there. Get this back where we want it. All right, you feel it tighten up like that. You don't want to break it because that's plastic. So, and David's got everything connected back. The hoses.
Just need that one
here.
connection on top.
Oh yeah, this one right here with also the 8mm. All right, guys, running smooth as silk. No issues whatsoever. All right, we're gonna call this video complete. So, specialty video for you 99 to 04 guys in the Mustang 4.6 liter, showing you how to change a spark plug.